The rain came down like God's own judgment, pounding the terracotta roofs of Seville as if trying to wash away the sins of the city. Vivian Harper slammed the door of her rented Fiat, her heart hammering louder than the thunder rolling in from the Sierra Morena. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered to the empty street, but the words caught in her throat like barbed wire. Behind her, in the shadowed doorway of their Airbnb, Violet Reyes watched, her silhouette framed by the warm flicker of candlelight, knowing full well that this storm wasn't just about the weather. It had started innocently enough, the way these things always do in stories people tell themselves to sleep at night. Vivian, 32, a high-powered marketing exec from Chicago with a corner office overlooking Lake Michigan and a fiancé named Mark who proposed with a diamond the size of a doorknob, had come to Spain for one last hurrah before the wedding. Mark was back home, buried in spreadsheets, promising he'd join her in a week for the vows in Barcelona. But Seville had other plans. The city, with its labyrinthine alleys and sun-baked plazas, had a way of unraveling the tidy threads of American lives, exposing the frayed edges beneath. Violet, 28, was a painter from Brooklyn, all fire and canvas and unspoken dreams deferred. She'd fled New York after a gallery show bombed, chasing the light of Andalusia that Van Gogh himself had envied. They met at a tapas bar off the Alameda de Hercules, Vivian nursing a glass of Rioja to drown her pre-wedding jitters, Violet sketching the crowd with charcoal-smudged fingers. "You're drawing me," Vivian had accused, half laughing, half flattered, when she caught the artist's eye lingering a beat too long. "Guilty," Violet replied, her voice like smoked honey, laced with that faint Queen's accent that made everything sound like a secret. "But only because you look like you belong in a Goya, tragic and luminous." That was the hook, the first pull. Vivian waved it off, blaming the wine, the jet lag, the heat that made her sundress cling like a second skin. She was straight after all. Engaged. Normal. But Violet's gaze lingered, and by the third glass Vivian was leaning in, sharing stories of boardroom battles and the hollow ache of a life scripted by expectations. Violet listened, really listened, her brown eyes, deep as the Guadalquivir at dusk, holding space for truths Vivian hadn't even admitted to herself. By dawn they were wandering the Alcazar gardens, the air thick with orange blossoms, and Vivian's hand brushed Violet's as they traced the arabesque tiles. "Electric. Unspoken. This place," Vivian murmured. "It's like it's pulling secrets out of the stones." Violet just smiled, tucking a stray auburn curl behind Vivian's ear, her touch lingering like a promise. Back in Chicago, Vivian's life was a checklist. Yoga at 6 a.m., client calls till 8 p.m., Mark's predictable affection, dinners at Gibson's, missionary on Saturdays. He was solid, the kind of man her Midwestern parents adored, with his golf handicap and his 401k. But in Seville with Violet, everything felt alive, dangerous, like stepping off a cliff into the unknown. The second night they climbed to the rooftop of Las Citas, the massive woven mushroom structure that hulked over the Plaza de la Encarnacion, like a modernist fever dream. The city sprawled below, a tapestry of golden lights and shadowed secrets. Violet unpacked a picnic, manchego and figs, a bottle of manzanilla sherry, and they talked until the stars wheeled overhead. "What's the one thing you'd change if you could?" Violet asked, her head on Vivian's shoulder, casual as if they hadn't just crossed an invisible line. Vivian hesitated, the sherry warming her veins. "I'd stop pretending." The words hung there, heavy as the humid air. Pretending what? She didn't say. Violet didn't push. Instead she turned, her face inches away, and for a heartbeat Vivian hoped, she might close the gap. But she pulled back, laughing it off. "God, I'm such a mess. Mark would kill me for even thinking." Violet's smile faltered just for a second, before she masked it with that artist's poise. "Hey, no judgments here. Seville's got a reputation for confessions." That night, alone in her bed, Vivian tossed, the sheets tangled like her thoughts. She texted Mark, "Missing you. Can't wait for Barcelona." But her dreams were of Violet's laugh, the curve of her neck against the sunset. The third day brought the real Alcazar, where peacocks strutted amid Moorish arches, and Vivian felt like she'd stepped into a fairy tale she wasn't supposed to believe in anymore. They got separated in the maze of patios deliberately? Vivian wondered later, and when she found Violet in the Salon de las Bovedas, the domed ceiling painted with stars, the painter was crying. Not sobs but quiet tears tracing paths down her cheeks. "What's wrong?" Vivian asked, her voice echoing softly. Violet wiped her face, smearing charcoal from her fingers. "Old ghosts. This place. It reminds me of her. The one who got away." She didn't elaborate, but Vivian knew. The raw edge in Violet's voice, the way her hands trembled. They'd all had them, those fractures that shaped you without your permission. Vivian pulled her into a hug, instinctive, maternal almost, but the press of Violet's body against hers ignited something primal. Breasts to breasts, hip to hip, the scent of jasmine and turpentine filling her lungs. Time stretched, taut as a bowstring. When they parted, Vivian's cheeks burned, and Violet's eyes held a question neither dared voice. That evening, over gazpacho in a hidden courtyard off Calle Mateos Gago, the conversation turned deeper. Violet spoke of her family, Catholic holdouts in Queens, who still lit candles for her phase in college, the girlfriend they'd prayed away. "They love me," she said, voice cracking. "But it's like I'm a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit." Vivian nodded, sharing her own cracks. The pressure from her mom to marry young, the way success felt like a cage with velvet bars. "You're brave," Vivian said, reaching across the table, their fingers intertwining without thought. "Coming here alone, chasing your art." Violet squeezed back. "And you're here on the edge of everything, still choosing." The rain started as they left the restaurant, a sudden Andalusian downpour that sent them dashing for cover under the eaves of the Seville Cathedral. Laughing, soaked, they pressed close, Vivian's back against the ancient stone, Violet's arm around her waist. The world narrowed to the space between them, the drip of water, the distant toll of bells, the thunder of pulses. "I should go," Vivian whispered, but her body betrayed her, leaning in. Violet's breath was warm against her ear. "Or you could stay." And in that moment, with the storm raging, Vivian did. The kiss happened like a dam breaking. Fierce, inevitable, tasting of sherry and salt and the bitter edge of forbidden fruit. Vivian's hands found Violet's face, thumbs tracing the sharp line of her jaw, as if mapping territory she'd only dreamed of claiming. Violet responded with a hunger that matched her own, fingers threading through wet auburn curls, pulling her closer until there was no air, no space, no world beyond the cathedral's shadow. It lasted eternities or maybe seconds. Time lost its grip in Seville's embrace. When they broke apart, gasping, Vivian's eyes were wide, wild. What the hell was that? Violet, ever the steadier one, touched her forehead to Vivian's. "Truth," she murmured. "The kind that doesn't lie." They stumbled back to the Airbnb, hands linked, the rain a relentless percussion urging them on. Inside, the apartment was a cocoon of exposed brick and potted geraniums, fairy lights strung like stars across the beamed ceiling. No words now, just the shedding of wet clothes, careful, reverent, like unwrapping fragile artifacts. Vivian's blouse hit the floor, followed by Violet's dress, pooling in emerald and white at their feet. They moved to the bed, a tangle of limbs and whispers, exploring with the tentative awe of explorers charting unclaimed lands. It wasn't about lust, it was revelation. Vivian traced the constellation of freckles across Violet's collarbone, memorizing the landscape of her. The dip of her waist, the strength in her thighs from years of hauling canvases through Brooklyn streets. Violet kissed the scar on Vivian's knee from a childhood bike crash, murmuring, "Every mark tells a story." They fit together like puzzle pieces long separated, bodies speaking what words couldn't. Hours blurred into a symphony of sighs and soft laughter, the storm outside mirroring the one within. Dawn crept in, painting the room in rose and gold, and reality slunk back like a thief. Vivian lay awake, Violet's head pillowed on her chest, the painter's breaths even and deep. Panic bloomed in her gut, sharp as the first sip of espresso. Mark. The wedding. Chicago. She extricated herself gently, slipping into the kitchen to brew café con leche, her mind a whirlwind. Violet found her there, wrapped in a robe, staring out at the Plaza del Triunfo. "Morning," she said softly, pressing a kiss to Vivian's shoulder. Vivian turned, forcing a smile. "Morning. Last night was incredible." "But," Violet prompted, leaning against the counter, her dark eyes searching. Vivian sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I'm engaged, Vi. It's a detour. A beautiful one, but I have a life waiting." Violet's face shuddered, just for a moment before she nodded. I get it. No strings, right? Seville special. They spent the day pretending, wandering the Triana market, bargaining for ceramics and stealing glances over plates of espinacas con garbanzos. But the undercurrent was there, a riptide pulling at Vivian's resolve. By evening, as they watched the sunset from the Torre del Oro, the river below shimmering like molten gold, doubt had taken root. I need to call Mark, Vivian said finally, her voice small. Violet handed her the phone without a word, stepping back to give her space. The call was mundane. How's the trip? Weather's crap here, but each I love you from Mark felt like a brick in the wall rebuilding between worlds. When she hung up, Violet was sketching idly, her pencil scratching out the outline of a woman at a precipice. You're thinking of leaving early, Violet said, not looking up. Vivian swallowed. Barcelona's in 3 days. The ceremony. Violet set the sketchpad down, crossing to her. And if you didn't go? If you chose this instead? She gestured between them, vulnerable in a way that twisted Vivian's heart. I can't just upend everything. Vivian's voice cracked. My family's counting on it. My career. It's who I am. Is it? Violet's eyes flashed. Or is it who they told you to be? The argument simmered that night, words like embers flaring and dying. Vivian stormed out, walking the empty streets until her feet ached, the flamenco bars spilling laughter and guitar strains that mocked her turmoil. When she returned, Violet was asleep, a half-finished canvas of storm clouds on the easel. Vivian crawled into bed, curling around her, whispering apologies into the dark. The next morning brought fragile peace. They hired bikes, cycling along the river to the Plaza de España, where tiled bridges arched over moats like fairy tale portals. Vivian snapped photos, selfies with Violet's arms slung casual around her shoulders, the Ibero-American Exposition's grandeur as backdrop. For the memories, she said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. In the tiled alcoves representing Spanish provinces, they lingered in the one for New York, Liberty's torch stylized in azure and gold. Home, Violet said wistfully. But not anymore. Vivian pulled her close. It could be again. With the right person. Violet searched her face. Am I that person? The question hung, unanswered as thunder rumbled anew. That afternoon, betrayal's shadow fell. Vivian's phone buzzed with a text from her sister. Claire? Mom found your journal. The one from college. She's freaking. Call home now. Heart sinking, Vivian excused herself, dialing from a bench overlooking the moat. Claire's voice was hushed, urgent. Viv, it's bad. Entries about that girl in art class, the one you swore was just a crush. Mom thinks you're confused. Mark doesn't know, but Dad's talking annulment if you don't fix this. Vivian gripped the phone, vision blurring. It's ancient history. I'm marrying Mark. Is it? Claire pressed. Because the way you sound. Sis, are you okay? She hung up, the world tilting. Violet approached, concern etching her features. Everything all right? Fine, Vivian lied, standing abruptly. Just family stuff. Let's head back. But the lie festered. That evening, over a quiet dinner of salmorejo in a taberna near the river, Vivian's walls cracked. I had a thing in college, she confessed, staring into her gazpacho. A girl. We kissed once, and I buried it so deep I convinced myself it never happened. Violet reached for her hand. And now? Now it's all surfacing. Like Seville's dredging up the Guadalquivir's secrets. Tears welled, hot and unbidden. What if I'm not who I thought? Violet's thumb stroked her knuckles. Then you're braver than most. Facing it here with me. They walked home in silence, the air charged. In the apartment, Vivian paced, unraveling. Mark's safe. Predictable. But you make me feel alive, Vi. Like I could paint my own damn life. Violet pulled her into an embrace. Then do it. Choose you. But choice was a luxury, and the clock ticked toward Barcelona. The following day they escaped to the Italica ruins, the ancient Roman theater crumbling under olive trees, ghosts of gladiators whispering in the wind. Violet set up her easel, capturing the fractured columns in ochre and shadow. Vivian watched, mesmerized by the intensity in her lover's focus, the way her brow furrowed, lips parted in concentration. Sit for me, Violet said suddenly. Vivian laughed. Me? I'm no muse. You're mine. Violet's voice was firm, pulling her onto the stage's remnants. As the sun dipped, Violet painted, not a portrait but an essence. Vivian amid the ruins, arms outstretched, a figure both triumphant and torn. That night, under a canopy of stars from the rooftop, they made love again, slower this time, savoring as if it might be the last. Vivian traced Violet's spine, memorizing the curve. I don't want to lose this. Then don't, Violet breathed. But dawn brought the call Vivian dreaded. Mark, early, voice tinny over the line. Babe, flight's booked. See you in 2 days. Love the pics. Who's the artist's friend? Vivian's throat closed. Just a local. Can't wait to see you. She hung up, the lie sour on her tongue. Violet, sensing the shift, didn't push. Instead, she proposed a day trip to Córdoba, to the Mezquita, where faiths intertwined like their own tangled hearts. The train ride was a bubble of reprieve, windows framing rolling hills of cork oaks, Violet's head on Vivian's lap, fingers idly toying with a silver ring on her thumb. In Córdoba, the mosque cathedral loomed, a forest of striped arches that blurred boundaries between prayer and paradox. They wandered the mihrab, light filtering through like divine approval. This place, Violet whispered. It's proof that opposites can coexist. Vivian nodded, but her mind raced. Straight and not. Engaged and free. Marking you. Back in Seville that evening, the fracture widened. Vivian's phone lit up with voicemails, Mom tearful, Dad stern, Claire pleading. Come home. Sort this out. The journal's ghost haunted her. Those college scribbles now a Rosetta Stone to her soul. I have to tell them, she told Violet, voice trembling. About us. Violet's face lit with hope. Finally. But as Vivian dialed, resolve crumbled. Mom's voice frail with worry. Vivian, honey, we love you no matter what. But Mark, he's good for you. Don't throw it away for a phase. It's not a phase, Vivian snapped, then softer. Mom, I think I love her. Silence, then sobs. Think? Oh God, what are we doing wrong? The call ended in chaos, promises to talk later. Violet held her as she cried, but the seed of doubt had sprouted thorns. The betrayal came not with a bang but a whisper. A letter slipped under the door like contraband, sealed with wax that cracked under Vivian's thumb. It was from Mark, penned in his neat block letters, arriving via some misguided romantic gesture from a mutual friend in Barcelona. My dearest Viv, I've been thinking about our future. Enclosed is the itinerary for the honeymoon. Italy, just like you dreamed. Can't wait to build that life with you. Forever yours, M. Violet found her on the balcony, the paper crumpled in her fist, tears carving rivers down her face. He doesn't know, Vivian choked out. And I can't, God Vi, I can't hurt him like this. Violet knelt beside her, gathering the pieces. Hurting him means hurting you more. Is that the life you want? Pretending for his sake. Vivian shoved the letter away. It's not pretending. We have history. Stability. It's a fantasy. When I go back, it'll fade. The words landed like slaps, Violet recoiling as if struck. Her eyes, those deep wells of understanding, hardened to flint. A fantasy? Last night that was real. Every touch, every word. Vivian stood, pacing the wrought iron railing, the city below indifferent to her unraveling. I said I was straight my whole life. College was a blip. This is just confusion. The romance of Spain, the wine, the escape. Violet rose slowly, voice steady but laced with pain. You're not confused, Viv. You're scared of what it means to choose yourself over their script. Get out, Vivian whispered, the words tasting like ash. Just go. Violet packed in silence, her duffel thumping softly as she stuffed canvases and brushes. At the door she paused, sketching a quick outline on a napkin, 2 figures entwined then torn. For when you remember, she said, leaving it on the table. The door clicked shut, and Vivian sank to the floor, sobs racking her frame. The apartment, once a haven, echoed with ghosts, the scent of Violet's turpentine, the indent on the pillow. She called Mark that night, voice bright as shattered glass. I miss you so much. Hurry up and get here. He laughed, oblivious. 2 days, babe. We'll make it official. The intervening hours were purgatory. Vivian wandered Seville like a penitent, seeking absolution in its holy sites. The Giralda Tower, spiraling skyward, offered views that mocked her smallness, the Alcazar a jewel box, the cathedral a fortress of faith. But no prayer eased the ache. She texted Claire. "Tell Mom I'm sorry. Wedding's on." Claire's reply, "You sure? Sound like hell." "Positive," she typed, deleting a dozen drafts of truth. On the eve of departure, betrayal doubled down. Claire called, frantic. "Viv, Mark's mom found out, somehow. About the journal. She's pushing him to postpone, says you're unstable. He defended you but... Sis, come clean." Vivian's world tilted. He knows. Not everything. But enough to question. Rage boiled over, not at Mark, but at the web of secrets spun from fear. She stormed to the barrio's edge, where Violet's rented studio overlooked the river. The door was ajar, light spilling like an invitation. Inside, Violet was packing her own flight. Back to New York, a fresh start. "You came," Violet said, surprise softening her edges. Vivian thrust the phone at her. "It's falling apart. Everyone knows bits, no one the whole. And I'm the villain." Violet set down a rolled canvas, pulling her into the chaos of half-packed boxes. "You're not a villain. You're human. Messy, beautiful human." They talked till midnight, words pouring like the rain that started anew. Vivian confessed the college kiss, the buried longing, the way Mark's steadiness felt like chains now. Violet shared her own scars, the ex who outed her to family, the galleries that dismissed her emotional work as too queer. "I betrayed you," Vivian said finally, head in hands. "Pushing you away like that." Violet lifted her chin. "You betrayed yourself more. But forgiveness? That's on us." They kissed then, reconciliation fierce and tender, bodies remembering what minds forgot. No rush, just reconnection. Hands mapping familiar paths, breath sinking like a shared pulse. Afterward, tangled in Violet's sheets, Vivian whispered, "What if I call it off? The wedding?" Violet traced her lips. "Then what? We figure it out. Together." Hope flickered, fragile as a candle in wind. But dawn brought the hammer. Mark arrived early, surprising her at the apartment, tall, blonde, with that boyish grin and a bouquet of roses. "Thought I'd beat the traffic," he said, sweeping her into a hug. Vivian froze, Violet's scent still on her skin. "Mark, how?" "Friend helped with the key." He glanced around, noting the disarray. "Rough week." She nodded, throat tight, leading him inside. The napkin sketch lay on the table, accusing. Mark picked it up, frowning. "Who's this?" "A friend." She lied again, snatching it away. His eyes narrowed, the roses wilting in his grip. "Viv, we need to talk. About the journal. Your mom sent it. Thought it was a gift or something. The entries. The girl." Time stopped. Vivian's pulse thundered. "It's old, Mark. Irrelevant." "Is it?" He stepped closer, voice low. "Because I love you, but if there's someone else here now, I need to know." Violet's door was just blocks away, but the chasm yawned. Betrayal's echo. Her own lies, Mark's intrusion, the life she'd half committed to crumbling. Vivian started, but sobs cut her off. Mark pulled her close, murmuring comforts, but his arms felt foreign now, a cage she'd outgrown. "We can fix this. Therapy, whatever. Just promise me, no one else." She nodded into his shoulder, the promise hollow. That night, after he crashed on the couch, Vivian slipped out, running through the rain-slicked streets to Violet's studio. "Choose," Violet said, door open, face streaked with paint and tears. "Him or us?" Vivian collapsed into her arms. "You. God, you." They held each other as lightning cracked the sky, climax building like the storm's fury. But choice demanded sacrifice. Morning came with Mark's voice from the apartment. "Viv? Where are you?" And Vivian knew the confrontation loomed. The street confrontation unfolded like a scene from a Pedro Almodovar film. Raw, operatic, under the relentless Andalusian rain that turned cobblestones to mirrors reflecting fractured souls. Vivian stood at the threshold of truth, Mark's rental car idling at the curb, Violet's studio door ajar behind her like a siren's call. He'd followed her trail, phone ping, a cabbie's tip, his face a mask of confusion hardening to betrayal. "Vivian, what the hell?" Mark's voice cut through the downpour, umbrella forgotten as he advanced. Water plastered his button down to his chest. The roses from yesterday now sodden pulp in the gutter. Who's in there? The friend from the sketch. Vivian glanced back at Violet, who hovered in the doorway, her emerald dress a defiant splash of color against the gray. No words passed, but the look they shared was a lifeline. I'm here. It's complicated, Vivian started, but Mark's laugh was bitter, echoing off the ochre walls. Complicated? Try cheating, Viv. I flew across an ocean for you, and you're shacked up with some artist chick. He raked a hand through his hair, eyes wild. The journal was one thing, a college fling. But this is us ending before we start. Tears mixed with rain on Vivian's cheeks. Mark, listen. I never meant. Save it. He turned to Violet, who stepped forward, chin lifted. You. Get out of her head. Whatever spell Seville's got you under, it ends now. Violet's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. It's not a spell. It's her heart. And it's not yours to command. Mark lunged, not violently, but in desperate grasp for Vivian's arm. We're leaving. Now. Barcelona, the wedding. It's still on if you want it. Vivian wrenched free, the contact burning like acid. No. Mark, I can't marry you. Not like this. The words hung thunderous. His face crumpled, shocked to grief in a heartbeat. Because of her? He jabbed a finger at Violet. Some rebound fantasy? It's not. Vivian faltered, then straightened, drawing strength from Violet's steady gaze. It's real. I love her. I've always loved parts of myself I hid, and she sees them all. Mark staggered back. Rain blurring his vision or tears, impossible to tell. We had plans. House in Lincoln Park, kids, the whole American dream. You threw it away for this. Vivian stepped closer, voice breaking. Those plans were yours, not mine. I was going through the motions, Mark. You deserve someone who doesn't have to. He shook his head, denial fierce. You're confused. The family's waiting. Your mom called me last night, begging me to save you from this phase. The mention of family ignited Vivian's core. It's not a phase. It's me. And if they can't love that, then... Her phone buzzed. Claire. Mom's on a plane. Dad too. Fix this. The weight crashed down, suffocating. Violet touched her shoulder. Viv, you don't owe explanations to ghosts. Mark's eyes darted between them, the betrayal sinking deep. I trusted you. Loved you. His voice cracked, a grown man unraveling. Was any of it real? Vivian reached for him, but he flinched. Yes. You were my safe harbor. But harbors aren't homes. He turned, shoulders slumped, trudging to the car. The engine roared to life, tires hissing on wet stone as he peeled away, taillights fading into the labyrinth. Vivian sank to her knees, sobs tearing free. Violet knelt beside her, umbrella shielding them both, arms a bulwark against the storm. It's over, Vivian gasped. Everything. Not everything, Violet whispered, rocking her gently. Us. That's the beginning. They retreated inside, the studio a sanctuary of half-finished works and the scent of wet clay. Violet brewed tea strong black with lemon, while Vivian curled on the daybed, phone silenced. Hours passed in murmurs, Vivian recounting Mark's proposal under Chicago's Christmas lights, the way it felt right until it didn't. Violet sharing her fear of being the other woman, the interloper in a straight-laced tale. You're not, Vivian insisted, cupping Violet's face. You're the truth. That night they didn't make love, too raw, too tender. Instead, they talked till exhaustion claimed them. Bodies spooned under a quilt stitched with Andalusian patterns. Dreams came fitful, haunted by Mark's face, her parents' disappointment. Morning broke clear, the rain's gift. A scrubbed sky, air sharp as renewal. Vivian woke to Violet at the easel, capturing the dawn over the river. For you, she said, unveiling the canvas. Vivian, not as ruin but rebirth. Standing amid arches, light-piercing shadows. Tears pricked anew but grateful ones. It's beautiful. You're beautiful. Violet kissed her forehead. Now call them. The calls were crucibles. Mom first, voice quavering over satellite delay. Vivian, Grace Harper, what have you done? Mark called, crying like a boy. The wedding's off. Vivian gripped the phone, Violet's hand in hers. Yes. Mom, I'm gay. Or bi, or whatever the label is. But I'm in love with a woman. Violet. Silence stretched, then a hitch of breath. That artist? From the photos? Yes. Steel in her spine. And I need you to be okay with it. Or at least try. Mom's sob was wrenching. I just want you happy, baby. This is it. We'll learn. Dad was sterner, gruff Midwestern pragmatism. Heard from Mark. Good kid, broken heart. You sure about this, Viv? Throwing away stability for feelings. It's not throwing away, she countered. It's claiming my life. A pause then. Your mother says it's the Spaniard. Bring her home sometime. We'll talk. Claire Everthebridge laughed through tears. About time you grew a backbone. Mom's booking therapy, family edition. And hey, if she's cute, send pics. Relief washed over Vivian like the Guadalquivir's flow. Not perfect, but progress. Human, messy, laced with love's stubborn persistence. With family fractures mending tentatively, the world expanded. Violet and Vivian ventured out, hand in hand, defying stares in the Mercado de Triana. They bought spices and silks, Vivian learning to haggle with a smile, Violet teaching her the brushstrokes of presence. Bold lines, soft blends. One afternoon, in the Jardin de los Reales Alcazars, they found a secluded bench amid labyrinthine hedges. What now? Vivian asked, head on Violet's shoulder. Now? We live. Violet's fingers traced her palm. New York, Chicago, wherever. But together. Vivian lifted her face, eyes shining. Promise. Artist's oath. A kiss sealed under orange blossoms. But conflict lingered, shadows in sunlight. Mark emailed, civil, pained. Wish you well. If you ever need a friend. Vivian replied once, closure's grace. Thank you for the years. Be happy. Then archived, a chapter closed. Violet's own demons surfaced in gallery rejections. Emails dismissing her Seville series as overly sentimental. They don't see, she vented one night, pacing the studio. The emotion, the layers. Vivian pulled her down, canvas as witness. Then we make them. Self-publish, crowdfund, whatever it takes. In that, romance deepened, not fireworks but steady flame. Evenings of shared sketches, Vivian's amateur lines beside Violet's mastery. Mornings of market coffee, plotting futures over churros. Yet drama crested again when Vivian's visa loomed, tourist days ticking down. Stay, Violet urged. Or come with me to Brooklyn. Sublet, teach anything. Fear gripped Vivian, uprooting career, facing American winters without Mark's buffer. What if it fails? Us against the world. Violet cupped her face. Then we try again. Love's not a contract. It's a canvas, messy, evolving. The decision crystallized in a quiet moment at the Metropole Parasol. Atop Las Citas, city at their feet. Brooklyn, Vivian said, wind whipping her hair. With you. Violet's whoop echoed, pulling her into a spin. Laughter, tears, catharsis. Packing followed, bittersweet. Violet's canvases rolled, Vivian's suitcase lighter without regrets. At the station, amid hugs from locals who'd adopted them, the tapas bar owner pressing Jamon-wrapped farewells, they boarded the train to Madrid, then flight to JFK. Spain receded, but its lessons clung. Truth's cost, love's grace. New York hit like a fever dream after Seville's languid haze. Honking cabs, steam rising from grates, the Hudson's relentless churn mirroring Vivian's inner tide. They crashed at Violet's cramped Bushwick loft. A skylit area of exposed ducts and paint-splattered floors, walls alive with unfinished works. Home, Violet declared, flinging open the door to chaos that felt like freedom. Vivian dove in, Chicago's polish shedding like old skin. She sublet her apartment sight unseen, emailing resignation to the agency, pursuing new horizons, and enrolled in online courses for graphic design, blending her marketing savvy with Violet's artistic fire. Days blurred into collaboration. Violet's canvases gaining commercial edge, Vivian's portfolios blooming with queer narratives, inspired by their story. Romance wove through the grit, stolen kisses in Prospect Park, where dogwood petals dusted their picnics, lazy Sundays at the Brooklyn Museum, debating Frida Kahlo's bisexuality over falafel. Sex was exploration, not conquest. Lazy mornings tracing tattoos, evenings where Violet painted Vivian's body in edible hues, laughter mingling with moans. Always tender, always affirming. But humanism's test came in waves. Violet's family visited, stoic abuela clutching rosaries, uncles grumbling in Spanglish, but over paella in the loft they thawed. "You make her smile," abuela conceded, patting Vivian's hand. "Like sunlight on the Guadalquivir." Vivian's clan trickled east. Claire first, wide-eyed at the lesbian love nest. Then Mom and Dad, awkward in their Brooks Brothers, navigating the G-train like aliens. Dinner was tentative, Mom quizzing Violet on intentions, Dad bonding over baseball reruns, but progress etched in small graces. Mom buying Vivian's first design gig print, Dad muttering, "Proud of you, kid, taking the hard road." Betrayal's scar faded, but echoes lingered. Mark's wedding announcement arrived via Facebook. A beachside affair in Miami, his bride a live lawyer with Vivian's old laugh. Sting brief then release, "Good for you." She blocked the feed, turning to Violet's arms. Climax revisited in subtler storms. Violet's big break, a Soho gallery show, teetered when the curator balked at the personal edge. Portraits of Vivian, raw with intimacy. "Too confessional," the email read. Violet spiraled, doubting her voice. What if they're right? If loving you makes me weak? Vivian rallied, fierce. "It makes you real. We'll shop it elsewhere. Or burn it and start over." They did. A pop-up in Williamsburg, crowd-funded by queer collectives. Opening night overflowed. Drag queens toasting, critics scribbling notes. Sold out by midnight, Violet's eyes meeting Vivian's across the crowd. "We did this." Emotion crested there. Amid champagne flutes and flashbulbs, Vivian pulled her aside. Into the back alley where graffiti bloomed like defiant flowers. "Marry me," she said, "no ring, just heart in hand. Not for show, for us." Violet's laugh was joy incarnate. Yes. 1,000 times. The wedding was unscripted. City Hall, then a rooftop reception in Bushwick, fairy lights strung like Seville's lanterns. Claire officiated, Mom teary in a pantsuit, Dad toasting with Brooklyn Lager. Violet's vows wove art metaphors. "You're my negative space, the breath in the brushstroke." Vivian's, "You taught me to see color in the gray." No by kitsch but not unscarred, human ends rarely are. They honeymooned in Provincetown, Cape Cod's queer haven, biking dunes and watching whales breach, bodies salty with sea and sweat. Back home life settled. Vivian's freelance firm thrived. Violet's residency at MoMA PS1 beckoned. Years folded like origami. Adoptions discussed over coffee. A brownstone and bedstewie with a studio garden. Conflicts arose. Vivian's wanderlust pulling west, Violet's roots anchoring east. A miscarriage scare that hollowed them before healing. But through it, depth endured, therapy sessions unpacking betrayals, date nights reaffirming sparks. One anniversary back in Seville on whim, Airbnb the same, rain the same, they climbed to the cathedral eaves. "Full circle," Violet murmured, ring glinting. Vivian leaned in, kiss eternal. And the truth holds. In the end, it wasn't the night that revealed her, but the life after. Messy, luminous, unapologetically theirs. She wasn't straight, not anymore, maybe not ever. She was Vivian, lover, creator, whole. And that was enough.